Something strange just happened in the South China Sea, and it's causing a stir among leading military analysts. A single risky action by the Chinese Navy might have unwittingly set off an event chain no one expected. What began as a daring display of power may have illustrated far more than anticipated. The U.S. Navy was watching intently, and what they found could change everything about this tense rivalry. Stay tuned. Let's start with a scene playing out in some of the most dangerous waters in the world. The South China Sea and the Taiwan Strait are immediate areas where power, pride, and precision meet. Two great nations are trying to push limits. Each is seeing how far the other will go. But what if China's recent displays of force are not victories at all? What if every demonstration of aggression is unwittingly giving an advantage to the United States? It all began with a moment that could have changed the course of history. While on patrol in the Taiwan Strait, a Chinese Type 052D destroyer maneuvered near the American destroyer USS Higgins, closing to within 200 yards. Imagine the silence on both ships, and the crews all holding their breath, with radar signals reverberating across the dark sea. Two armed warships stared each other down at sea, ready for anything, even a Pearl Harbor-like strike. All it would have taken was one reckless move, one misstep, and the world would have faced a crisis that could not be stopped. Luckily, the intimidating standoff did not escalate into violence. China was prepared to take risks that most countries would never take. But this was only the beginning. Away from the South China Sea, there was yet another dangerous interaction. A Chinese fighter jet soared to within 10 feet of a United States Air Force B-52 bomber on a night flight in international airspace. 10 feet is less distance than the width of a small aircraft. The American crew noticed the sudden air movement, and the Chinese jet illuminated the night with its lights. It was a provocative and hostile act, intended to intimidate, but left the world with a disturbing question. How close is China willing to go to an incident to prevent showing weakness? The tension did not stop there. In another occurrence, a Chinese Z-10 attack helicopter came across a United States Navy MH-60R helicopter. The Chinese crew likely thought they were making a big statement. Instead, they provided the Americans something much more valuable. As the Z-10 approached, the United States crew began to take down significant data. They tracked the helicopter's radar patterns, flight patterns, and communication signals. What was intended to be a show of force turned into a way to gather intelligence. In trying to frighten, China had unwittingly put information about one of its own aircraft on display. Then, there was another incident that grabbed worldwide focus. The American destroyer USS Changhoon was proceeding through the Taiwan Strait when a Chinese warship miraculously sped ahead and cut off the destroyer. The American crew had to slow down to avoid a wreck. It was a daring, unsafe, and reckless maneuver that was presumably designed to prove their control over the sea. However, every moment of that incident was tracked and monitored. Every radar pulse, every movement, and every command given provided the United States with important intelligence on China's naval tactics. Thus, it is possible that what looks like an act of dominance may actually expose weaknesses. Each of these confrontations is just a piece of a bigger puzzle. They are bold defiance on the surface, but each one tells a story of unintended consequences. Each time China attempts to challenge the U.S., it has the potential to do the opposite, which is share its strategies, technology, and limitations. If these confrontations persist, China may inadvertently help its biggest competitor prepare for a future conflict. In modern warfare, true power and capability is not based on the size of the fleet or speed of a jet. True power is based on who learns quicker, who observes better, and who purposely hides their secrets. China's most recent iterations may seem brazen, yet every close encounter has a price. The more China presses ahead, the more it will expose itself. As these intense moments are unfolding in the sea and in the air, only one thing remains to be answered. Who has the true advantage? The nation that boldly acts, or the one that observes, learns, and prepares for the next move? Analysts from around the world have been closely monitoring China's recent military actions with both fascination and concern. At first glance, we could interpret these dangerous interactions between Chinese and American military forces as acts of bravado. But many defense analysts would contend that what happens in the context of these encounters tells a very different story. China may want to intimidate us, but in the process could be providing the United States with a very distinct advantage. Some analysts view these aggressive actions as possible acts of defiance, but see accidental opportunities for information collection and intel gathering. Every time a Chinese destroyer, jets, or helicopter engages in maneuvers near our forces, it sends signals of some kind or pattern for those to study. Radar emissions, engine noise, communications coding, flight patterns, and so on become pieces of data. So, the moment looks like an act of military intimidation. It is also an open window into China's capabilities. The United States Navy and Air Force are highly practiced at collecting and analyzing these types of data from close encounters, successfully converting tense moments of a confrontation into strategic lessons. However, that advantage comes with a perilous risk. Experts caution that these near misses are not merely symbolic gestures. These are real moments of peril, and a single mistake could spark an international crisis. The South China Sea and the Taiwan Strait are already some of the world's most contested waters. Even a near collision or an improvised maneuver could expand to something much deeper, due to the fact that both countries are heavily armed and politically committed to showing muscle. The point is that even an instantaneous misunderstanding can become serious before both countries can arrive at diplomacy. These actions are deliberate. They are communications of power. By flying dangerously close to American aircraft and cutting across the paths of U.S. warships, China is sending a message to the body of world nations to remind them of their growing confidence and control of the region. Yet, some analysts have described the very tactics employed for the sake of showing power as reckless and even amateurish. They note that those actions do not convey strength but desperation to assert dominance, with the potential negative consequence of the risk outweighing any of the positive. More ironic than it appears, China's enhancing efforts to intimidate others may be ineffectual because these incidents just solidify the resolve of rivals, in addition to facilitating improved understanding of how the Chinese military operates. The U.S. Navy, through its slow, patient observation, keeps gathering intelligence that could be crucial in any potential future engagements. As a result, while the Chinese try to demonstrate control through frequent close-quarter engagements, they may be losing control of the very narrative they are trying to construct. In totality, while you see confrontations, you also see more than power demonstrations. The fine line between powers and peril is exposed. What is meant to show fear may expose weakness. As long as these different tastes of confrontations continue questioning who is more powerful, becomes more an issue of who is necessarily learning from each other's dangerous contextual ruminations throughout the world's most nuclear viable waterways in the Pacific. They have taken the form of a silent game of nerve, knowledge, and power. China may believe that its audacious actions demonstrate strength, but with each close encounter, it appears to reveal the same vulnerabilities it would prefer to conceal. The United States, cool and calculating, observes, studies, and patiently waits for a chance to capitalize on every risk. Thus, what began as a display of dominance has evolved into a high-stakes game of revelation. In the midst of sinuous tensions across restless seas, one question in many minds now remains: how long before one courageous act will tilt the balance of power forever. I hope you found this narrative as gripping and important as we did. Please take a moment to show your appreciation by clicking the like button so more people can hear the truth about what is happening. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so you do not miss our next deep dive about the world's vital military and complex episodes. Please share with us your thoughts in the comments. What do you think China's next move will be? And please share this video with friends who enjoy the stories behind power plays around the world. Your support allows us to dig deeper, and the next episode is not far off.